Order, order. Giles Watling to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship today. I'm very grateful that this debate has been secured, and this is a very important debate indeed. It is about dreadful and totally unnecessary cruelty to animals to create a so-called delicacy. I do wish to make it clear today that whilst the debate's title is the importation and sale of foie gras, I do understand that we cannot ban a product, but instead we can deal with the process in which it is made. In this case, Mr. Chairman, it is foie gras produced by force feeding. I wish to offer my thanks to Abigail Penny from Animal Equality UK, who should be joining us in the viewing gallery very shortly. I proudly can say that she hails from the Sunshine Coast and she resides in Clacton. It is a place of animal lovers. I'd be delighted to give way.
Gentlemen, bring this forward. This debate took place in a German debate in the Chamber some time ago. I supported the principle that the Honourable Gentleman is referring to. The unfortunate thing is government has also made it clear that the production of force-fed foie gras raises serious welfare concerns. There hasn't been any steps taken. I think he probably shares my frustration. What does he feel now that the Minister and Government need to do to make it happen?
I thank my honourable friend for his intervention, and it is precisely because I don't think there has been enough action since that previous debate that I want to raise it here again today in this space, and I'm very grateful for the...
Order as a division in-house, and we will suspend 15 minutes. First vote. If there are subsequent votes, it will be 10 minutes. But can I just say to honourable members, as soon as the mover of the motion and the Minister is here, we can proceed. So as quickly as possible, please. Thank you. Order, order. Order, order. We can now continue with the debate. Giles Watling.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. Before the interruption, I'm pleased to say that now we have a full house in the viewing gallery, and I would like to pay my tributes and thanks to Abigail Penny from Animal Equality UK for her hard work on this cause. I can proudly say that she does come from Clacton, the Sunshine Coast, and Clacton is a place of animal lovers, which is probably why I'm chairman of the all-party group on animal welfare. Her charity has provided a brochure, I think. She has a brochure, which colleagues are welcome to take back with them, highlighting this issue in further detail. Now, foie gras is the process of forcibly putting a tube down into the bodies of the geese, into their stomach, pumping food until their liver swells. The liver is then cut out and sold to the markets. Now, I'm sure there are many meat eaters present. One of my twin daughters is championing the vegan cause, and I have to admit that I'm not quite there. But the point I wish to make is that the normal kinds of meat that your average consumer buys is not created in this barbaric and cruel fashion. We have very strict laws in this country on how our industry produces meat and other animal products, avoiding unnecessary suffering where at all possible. And sadly, this is not the case with the production of foie gras. I'd be delighted to give way. Thank you.
Labour attempted to ban the importation of foie gras during the passage of the Agriculture Act in 2020. The Conservative government voted our proposals down, but Labour is committed to introducing a ban on these imports as soon as we can. So can we count on the honourable member's support?
I'm very grateful for that intervention, and I'm not sure whether you were here earlier when I was answering another point on a very similar nature. One of the reasons I'm bringing this debate today is because there has been inaction, and I would like to see that action, and very soon. I could quite easily go on regarding the emotional argument against foie gras and for animal welfare standards to be improved, but it seems impossible to have a reasonable method of producing foie gras. Instead, I shall raise a more practical argument. There have been many recorded incidents of disease outbreaks in France, and as we've seen with the growing bedbug issue, we are not safe from disease and pests just because we have the English Channel. The crowded condition of these farms act as a breeding ground for disease, much like any other form of intensive farming. And as a representative of a constituency which has vast areas of rural lands, I would not want to endanger my local farmers. We must be especially alert to this risk and not accelerate another potential pandemic, given the serious consequences of COVID-19. Whilst bird flu hasn't yet jumped to humans, I understand there are scientists concerned that it could mutate. Now, Mr. Chairman, foie gras is an expensive luxury item. By defending foie gras sales or not acting on the trade during times of spiralling financial hardship across the country, I fear that we risk appearing to be totally out of touch with the British people. If I were to stand on Christmas Tree Island in Clacton and take a poll of my constituents who have ever purchased foie gras, I can only imagine the response. This is especially important to keep in mind with the looming general election. It's a low-hanging fruit, in my opinion, for the government, so we should move on it. I'd be delighted to give way to my honourable friend.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for giving way, and I congratulate him on securing this debate. I had a similar debate on the banning of the importation of foie gras on the floor of the House of Commons a while ago. Does he not agree with me that if we deem foie gras too cruel to be produced within this country, we should therefore, by definition, agree that it is too cruel to be allowed to be imported?
I thank my honourable friend for the intervention, and I absolutely agree that it is too cruel. And like the much-desired ban on trophy hunting, which is a ridiculous sport, we should ban such imports. Through Abigail and Animal Equality UK, I understand the petition to ban foie gras by force feeding was signed by no less than 280,000 people. That's an enormous amount of people concerned for the lives of these birds and the way they live them, and it's very impressive to see. I can confirm, Mr. Chairman, that e-petition 608288 to ban the importation and sale of foie gras has been signed by 6,878 people, including 6 of my constituents in Clacton, and e-petition 609129 to ban fur and foie gras imports has been signed by 528 people. So there's clearly a case here that public opinion is moving now in a very clear direction. Now, colleagues and viewers of this debate alike may be asking why it's focused on the importation and sale of foie gras by force feeding. That's because it's already outlawed, as we've just heard, in the UK to produce. Despite the cruelty goes into its production, we still allow it to be imported. When applying the law, judges look at how consistent it is. Well, in this case, in my view, it's not very consistent at all. As my honourable friend might allude to, and I don't wish to take any of her thunder away, the government has successfully ended the imports of whale meat, seal fur, elephant ivory, and cat and dog meat, the latter of which I personally ran a campaign on globally, to end it globally. If personal choice is a valid reason for failing to ban the product, why have other bans passed? I also think it's prudent to note the government's support for my honourable friend, the member for Crawley's private member's bill on the importation, which I mentioned earlier, of trophies from hunting. If you'll excuse the pun, Mr. Chairman, there's clearly an appetite in the government to go down the route of banning cruel imports. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, we have the situation that foie gras has been banned in royal residences since last year. I will not break any protocol by speaking here, but I think it prudent to mention that this place is a royal residence and still belongs to the Crown as a royal palace. Like all colleagues, I am a humble and obedient servant to the Crown, and I have sworn an oath of allegiance. Whilst to my understanding foie gras is not on any of the menus of the estate, a strong act of symbolism would be to ban the product here too, and that is something I will be raising with Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The question is that this House has considered the matter of the importation and sale of foie gras. Minister.
Thank you, Chair. And I would very much like to thank my honourable friend from Clacton for tabling this motion today. And as he points out, he is chair of the All-Party Animal Welfare Group, a role I know he takes really, really seriously, as did I when I was chair of the same group when I was a backbencher. And some really great work has been done by that committee. And he says that many of his constituents are here who are also great animal lovers and taking animal welfare very seriously, which I'm very pleased to hear. But also I would go on to say that actually I believe we are an entire nation of animal lovers, and animal welfare has been an absolute top priority for this government since 2010, and already our standards of animal welfare are world leading. According to the World Animal Protection's Animal Protection Index, the UK has the highest animal welfare score in the G7 and some of the highest animal welfare standards in the world, and I think that's something we should genuinely all be proud of.
Will the Minister give way?
Of course I would give way.
I'm grateful to the Minister for giving way. And she says we have the highest animal welfare standards. So can I ask her very gently, why is the Kept Animals Bill gone? Why is the Hunting Trophies Bill gone? And why did we not have the chance to ban foie gras in 2020?
Minister.
I thank her for that. If she would bear with me and listen to what I'm going to say in my speech, I think she will see that so much that was proposed in that bill has either already been brought forward in legislation or is in the process. As such, so great is our commitment to animal welfare, and I will be listing some of those things. And since 2010, we've raised animal welfare standards for farm animals, for companion animals, for wild animals. We've banned the traditional battery cages for laying hens, and we've raised standards for chickens for meat. We've implemented and upgraded welfare within our slaughter regime. We've introduced CCTV cameras in slaughterhouses. We've revamped the local authority licensing regime for commercial pet services, including selling, dog breeding, boarding and animal displays. And we've banned third-party puppy and kitten sales through Lucy's Law. That's something we particularly worked on all those years ago on the all-party animal welfare group. We introduced protections for service animals through Finn's Law, and we've introduced offences for horse fly grazing and abandonment. And I know some of those colleagues in this room have been involved in some of those pieces of law. We've also banned wild animals in travelling circuses. And our manifesto commitment demonstrates our ambition to go further on animal welfare. And in 2019, we committed on animal welfare to bring in new laws on animal sentience, introduce tougher sentences for animal cruelty, implement the Ivory Act and extend it to other species, ensure animal welfare standards are not compromised in trade deals, crack down on illegal smuggling of dogs and puppies, bring forward cat microchipping, ban the keeping of primates as pets, ban live shipments of animals, and ensure that, in return for funding, farmers safeguard high standards of animal welfare. Of course I will give way.
Thank you, Mr Pritchard, and I thank the Minister for giving way. Ducks, geese are sentient animals. They have feelings. Imagine all of us stuck in a cage and with someone opening our mouths and stuffing stuff down our throats. God, how awful that would be. We've got to get rid of this stuff.
I thank him for that intervention. I'm not going to disagree with him about the horrible cruelty of it, which is why we've actually banned it in this country. I think he makes the point exactly. What I wanted to go on to say, though, Chair, was those are the manifesto commitments, and I'm just going to list the things that we've actually already delivered. Just to make it really clear how seriously we do take animal welfare. So we've increased the penalties for those convicted of animal cruelty. So that's risen from 6 months to 5 years. We've passed the Animal Welfare Sentience Act 2022, which has just been referred to, and we've launched the dedicated committee to work on this. We have made cat microchipping compulsory for cats as well as dogs. And we've announced the extension to the Ivory Act that came into force last year to cover 5 more endangered species: hippopotamus, narwhal, killer whale, sperm whale and walrus. And on top of our manifesto commitments, in 2021 we published our ambitious and comprehensive action plan for animal welfare. This plan set out the work we're focused on pursuing to deliver a better life for animals in this country and abroad. And the commitments in the action plan last through this Parliament and beyond it. Our action plan relates to farmed animals, wild animals, pets and sporting animals, and it includes legislative and non-legislative reforms. In addition to that, we have provided for penalty notices to apply to animal welfare offences, introduced new police powers to tackle hare coursing. That was something that really needed tackling, and we've worked very hard to bring forward a much better crackdown on hair coursing. We've banned glue traps, and we've supported the private members' bills to ban the trade in detached shark fins and to ban the advertising here of low welfare animal experiences abroad. So just to the point of the debate today, which my honourable friend raises, specifically dealing with foie gras, as members and honourable friends will know, the production of foie gras by force feeding is banned in the UK, and that's because it is incompatible with domestic legislation. Foie gras production is covered by the general provisions in the Animal Welfare Act 2006, which make it a criminal offence to allow an animal to suffer unnecessarily and places a duty on people who are responsible for animals, which requires them to do all that is reasonable to ensure the welfare of their animals. This includes an animal's need for a suitable diet and to be protected from pain, suffering, injury and disease. Whilst we have domestic restrictions on the production of force-fed foie gras, it is, of course, possible to import foie gras from abroad. And clearly, there is a market trading in that. It's absolutely vital that any future policies that we develop are on the basis of robust evidence, in line with the government's commitment to improving animal welfare standards as set out in the Action Plan for Animal Welfare. And we are committed to building a clear evidence base on foie gras to inform our future decisions. So we are looking at what other countries do in terms of those countries that have banned it, and a certain number of countries, as my honourable friends will know, have banned the production of foie gras, just as we have, Germany, Italy and Luxembourg. The EU, as he will know, doesn't have an overall ban. So we're looking at all that, also looking at the World Trade Organization. How does that operate if a ban comes into place? So all of these things need to be really carefully considered. I would say that I think one of our strongest arms and levers on this is the work that we do on the international stage to influence the strengthening of animal welfare standards all across the globe, recommended by the World Organization of Animal Health and other global organisations and applied to different countries. And that's a strong way of influencing, as he'll know from his work on eating of dog meat, I remember, which actually we did some work on jointly as backbenchers to influence other countries, you know, to encourage them not to use these methods. So all of that will be being looked at in this gathering of the evidence base. We will work with relevant departments on disease. So he mentioned the issue about disease and avian flu as part of the evidence building. What I would say, though, is I'm actually standing in for the Farm Minister to do this debate, and I will make sure that the comments are passed on to him from this debate, as he was unable to attend today. He will also know that some supermarkets have already banned foie gras, and as he says, King Charles will not have it served. So actually already we as customers have a choice not to buy it and certainly not to use it. I certainly would never buy it or eat it. I will, as I'm just about to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard, and I thank the honourable member for giving way. On that very point of banning the product, banning the imports, many businesses in the private sector are indeed banning the product, refusing to sell it. Fortnum and Mason, a short walk from here, have banned it from their shelves in 2021. But by allowing restaurants and retailers to sell foie gras, the United Kingdom is putting animal torture and suffering in place. It's time to take an ethical stance on that, because it gives a business advantage to those who still sell foie gras, because it's still legal and available to do.
I hear what he says, and I will certainly pass his comments on. But I've also made my point that, of course, we do have choices to whether to buy it or not buy it if one doesn't support those methods of production. But certainly the evidence base is being gathered to inform future decisions. And I just wanted to conclude, Chair, by just reiterating that animal welfare is a huge government priority. We recognise, you know, the massive contribution animals make to our planet. We're very proud of what we've achieved on animal welfare. Chair, am I allowed to take an intervention? I'm not sure how the time's going. I will be very generous and take another intervention.
Minister, she's being generous with her time. But in terms of animal welfare, one senior Tory MP has stated that hormone-injected beef is delicious and you'll be absolutely fine with chlorinated chicken. So how can we believe the Minister when she says our animal welfare is the best in the world?
Well, actually, the Secretary of State from DEFRA just completely dismissed those comments and said absolutely not. So I'm just going to reiterate that very, very strongly. And to wind up, Chair, look, we're really proud of what we've achieved on animal welfare. I don't think anyone in this room could disagree with that long list that I have read out of things between us we have achieved, and we've made huge step forwards in what we've done. There is, of course, more to do, and we will keep prioritising caring for and protecting and respecting the animals with whom we share this planet. Thank you.
The question is that this House has considered the matter of the importation and sale of foie gras. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.